I'd like to call this meeting of the Westland City Council to order, please. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, tonight led by Councilwoman Tasha Green.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Green.
Present.
Councilman Hammonds is absent, excused. Councilman Hart. Here. Councilman Hersberg. Here. Councilman Johnson. Councilman Londo. Here. President Godbout.
Here.
A quorum is present.
We will begin with announcements and presentations. We'll start with the fire department.
My name's Mitch Tokarski, President IFF Local 1279, Westland Firefighters here in town. And I'd like to make a presentation to Deputy Mayor Michael Reddy tonight. And MJ retired in 2016, September of 2016, after close to 25 years of service to the department and to the citizens of Westland. And normally we have a retirement party, and I asked MJ at that time if he'd like to have a retirement party. And I knew what the answer was going to be, but I still had to ask, and he said no. And so what we usually do is we'll present an axe to each of our retirees along the way. And somewhere in that, with not having the party, I dropped the ball, and I didn't order an axe for Chief Reddy. And so tonight I'd like to present a retirement axe to Michael J. Reddy, from Local 1279 in honor of 25 years of dedicated service to the citizens of Westland and Local 1279.
Thanks, Mitch.
Thanks, Jim.
No comments, Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Council President. I'm usually reserved on those comments, but I really appreciate Mitch and the union for presenting this tonight. I'll certainly share it with my family and my kids and my father, who was in the fire service. It's really appreciated. Thank you. And as I mentioned, I said I wish I would have had this when we were negotiating the fire contract against the city. It would have helped.
Next, Don.
Thank you. Well, as you know, I don't usually come out here much unless we've got something coming up in town, and this is the week. This Wednesday we have a car show and cruise over at Step. Please come out and support that. We raise a lot of money for a good organization that brings services to people with disabilities. And that's sort of our kickoff to this Saturday, the All-American Wayne Road Cruise, going into its 7th year. This year is the biggest and best that we've had. We have more people who have joined on board with this event this year than we've ever had before. Multiple places all up and down Wayne Road. Of course, the Westland Historic Village, it's been right there since year one. We offer a free dash plaque if you come out there and pick it up with your classic car. We do a lot of different things. We donate all of this for the Historic Village. So we also just designed some new mugs that they're going to be selling at the Historic Village this year. So check them out, see what they've got there. The day is just going to be everywhere, all up and down Wayne Road. Westland Mall is involved. If you haven't seen the signs on the billboards there yet, they've been up for the last 6 weeks. We've got banners all up and down the road in so many places, all the way from Joy Road, all the way to Glenwood. On Wayne Road, there's something within a block of each other, and there's some that we just found out the VFW Hall today is going to be hosting a big vendor show there that day. So I'm glad to see that everybody's picking up on this. The end of the night, I was happy to talk with Ishwar, the director of the Westland Library, And we were saying, we're having trouble trying to find something to keep people busy for 2 hours while they wait around to get dark enough for our drive-in movie, because we actually don't use a big screen TV. We project it on a 55-foot blown-up drive-in screen, so a little different than what we see in a lot of places. Ishwar said that they have a concert in the park at the Westland Library every month, and this is a good way to bring the concert to the cruise and to be able to educate people on what the library is doing. So great partnership that we've come up with the library. So they are supplying the band from 7 o'clock to dark, and at that time the band will break down and we'll be watching Ghostbusters, the original Ghostbusters movie. We've got a few Ghostbusters cars coming out, as well as the Detroit Ghostbusters Association will be out there dressed in their Ghostbusters uniforms. So bring the kids out. This is all free. There is nothing that we put on this at this event that is a charge to anyone. We have sponsors that pay all the bills, and we're happy to see everybody come out and celebrate Westland and the All-American Cruise. So thank you very much for your time.
Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you, President Godbout. Just wanted to stop by and give everyone a bit of an update on a few things that we've been involved with in the commission. One of the things is at the most recent full board meeting, we approved the Wayne County Sheriff's Department mutual aid with the Wayne County police organizations, City of Westland, and all the other Wayne County cities, police departments, the mutual aid for all hazard aid response, any type of hazard or emergency. That's ongoing thing that we did approve. We also approved a contract for something that's new in our court system. It's the first time they've made a change in the those that are unable to afford any representation, indigent legal defense services for the 3rd District Court and several circuit court and several district courts for felony cases where the defendant cannot provide their own legal defense. This was a contract that was under consideration for a number of months, and it's been found that they weren't getting the best representation. I think a lot of people were concerned with whether or not that was true, and so we contracted with a new company that's going to come in that has the attorneys. They're also going to retain a number of the attorneys that are currently working there, but the administrative services are going to be, I believe, and we all believed it was unanimously approved, that they'll provide better administrative services, and it'll be much better as far as representation, as well as being able to do the administrative side of the job. Just a reminder, we'll concluded our coffee hours with Representative Coleman last week for the summer, and we will not have coffee hours for July or August, but we'll start back up on September 9th at the Westland Library at the same time at 9 a.m. So I'd encourage anyone that would like to have a good cup of coffee and conversation to stop by and see us at that time. If there's nothing else or any other questions, I'll call it it. Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner. Chief Jed Brusick.
Thank you, Council President. I just wanted to take a quick minute to talk about fireworks. This time of year, the most common police call that we get at the Westland Police Department is always fireworks complaints. Because so many residents are affected by fireworks, the Westland Police Department enforces the fireworks city ordinance proactively. We will again this year be proactively enforcing the ordinance again this season. So I wanted to take this opportunity to let everyone know that this year the Michigan Fireworks Safety Act and the Westland City Ordinance has been amended. So I want to take a minute just to kind of update the new rules for everyone so everyone knows what they are. Under the old state law, the use of commercial grade fireworks was lawful on surrounding national holidays, on days surrounding the holidays, and there was 30 of them. Under the adopted amendment to the city ordinance, the use of fireworks and the number of days and times allowed has changed. It's decreased down to only 12 days. So for this upcoming summer season, the use of fireworks is permitted only these following times and dates. From June 29th until July 4th, between the hours of 11 a.m. until 11:45 p.m. on each of those days. Also on July 5th, between 11 a.m. and 11:45 p.m., only if that day is a Friday or a Saturday. And this year, that date is a Friday. And then Saturday and Sunday immediately preceding Labor Day, between 11 a.m. and 11:45 p.m. on each of those days. Be aware that the laws have changed, increasing the penalty for the civil infraction. The civil infraction penalties now are up to $1,000. With respect to that, we respect the fact that residents want to celebrate their holiday seasons with fireworks. We just ask that if you're going to use fireworks, that you're using them safely and you're using them within the guidelines and within the hours of the law. If you'd like more information about the law, those times and the dates that I just gave, you can visit the City of Westland's website at cityofwestland.com. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Len?
Thank you, President Godwin. My name is Len Fisher, and I'm the Managing Director of Inspire Theater, Westland's Community Theater. Good evening, Mayor Wild, members of the council, citizens of Westland, and friends of Inspire Theater. Thank you for this opportunity to bring you an update of the progress of our community theater. This Sunday, we will close our 14th season. This season has brought much excitement to the theater. We began our season with a sold-out run of The Addams Family, followed by the world premiere of an original production, A Comedy Tonight. Then we launched the Inspire Youth Theater and ran another sold-out performance, The Wizard of Oz, for 2 weeks. The Wizard of Oz saw a cast of 31 kids bring to life the timeless classic in a fresh, fun extravaganza. Currently, we are in the middle of our final production, Leading Ladies, a farcical comedy that continues to garner rave reviews. Sunday's show is sold out, but there are still tickets available for Friday and Saturday nights. This season has seen nearly 3,000 patrons pass through our doors. That means almost 3,000 people visiting our shop and dine district. We have also made changes to our space. We have turned our green room into a second performance space for smaller productions as well as comedy and acoustical performances. Currently, we are in the midst of a fundraising campaign to raise funds to replace the aging roof and added much-needed storage space to the rear of the building. Anonymous donors have pledged matching funds for every dollar raised. We ask you to consider being part of this effort. Highlights from next season include 2 comedies and 2 musicals. Musicals include Mel Brooks's Young Frankenstein and Monty Python's Spamalot. We would like to acknowledge that the council and this administration has made it possible for all this to happen. And we'd like to thank you for your continued support and hope to see you this year at the Westland Center for the Arts. At this time, I'd like to just have the people that came with me, some of the actors, stand up for me. Yeah, you have to stand. The young man in the white sweater actually is one of our stars of our current show. That's Terry Viviani. Are there any questions from the council? No? Then we hope to see you folks sometime this year. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Len. Then, last but not least, Craig Brown.
Council President, council members, mayor. I just wanted to give you an update on one of the largest projects that's IT infrastructure related that the city has done in the last 10 years. We are just about done with the replacement of our fiber network that's connecting all 14 of our city buildings. All primary buildings are connected and are up and running. We've got 2 secondary buildings that we're still working on. Going along with this, while we were installing the new fiber network, we've also been upgrading a lot of infrastructure that connects it. So like the police department, we've been able to double the bandwidth coming from the police department out for their data traffic, which helps with their body camera systems, among other things. Speed access has improved across a number of the buildings that had previously had issues with it. And this is a project that was designed for at least 10 to 20 years worth of life, where we're planning for the future. So we've increased our bandwidth, increased our redundancies in it, and it's really worked out well for us. Any questions? Thank you.
Thanks, Craig. We'll move on to citizens' questions or input on the agenda. Citizens will be recognized before the business of the meeting commences to address the council pertaining to items that are specifically on the business agenda. Citizens are asked to limit their questions or input to 3 minutes. Is there anyone on my left? Anyone on my right? We'll close citizens' comment on the agenda and move on to the consent calendar. Is there a motion? Motion by Councilman Johnson, supported by Councilman Hart. Is there any discussion? Councilwoman Green.
I apologize. No discussion.
Yes, Councilwoman.
Excuse me. Thank you. I had questions on D, E, F, and G for the Municipal Service Bureau. The management totals almost, actually, it's exactly $403,500 for management of the ice arena, management of the golf course, management of the crossing guard program, and park ranger program. Can you please clarify if any of these items used to be the responsibility of the previous Parks and Rec director? And also, I'm curious in terms of the $403,500 expense for the Municipal Service Bureau, because the Municipal Service Bureau is made up of Mac Mayfield, a Westland resident Mac Mayfield, Deputy Mayor Michael Reddy, Steve Smith, who's the budget director, and Delano Hornbuckle, who used to be on the old library board. So I'm curious if these are management fees. Management fees are normally paid directly to a company. So is it correct that the four of these gentlemen will be splitting $403,500? Can you please clarify that? Thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes, through the chair. No, we will not be receiving this money. This money goes to run the individual, the golf course, ice arena, the crossing guards. Those fees are paid. For example, the crossing guards are run through the police department, so that pays for their salaries for the services they perform as crossing guards. So same thing with the golf course and ice arena. Those pay for the individuals that are there at those facilities that actually run the day-to-day operations of those facilities. So no, we do not receive anything whatsoever on that.
So just so I understand I understand correctly, you're stating that the $403,500 is for salaries of employees, and none of the four gentlemen that I mentioned who currently make up the Municipal Service Bureau will take a fee for this. This is all for salaries only.
Yes. So the money that you're talking about goes for the salaries, like you said. There are the board members, like any other board members for any other board, will receive a stipend. So like myself, I will not receive a stipend because I work for the city. Deputy Mayor will not receive a stipend, but there are two on the board that will receive the $60 per meeting stipend for that.
Thank you. So just again, so I'm clear, the four gentlemen, Mac Mayfield, Michael Reddy, Steve Smith, and Delano Hornbuckle, will not take a management fee. This is for salaries only.
Through the chair, yes, that is correct. We will not take any management fee whatsoever.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any other discussion from the council? Any discussion? Any dissent? Any dissent? Hearing no dissent, motion carries unanimously.
Council has approved the following consent calendar items. Approval of minutes of regular meeting held June 3, 2019. Traffic Control Order 2019-03, which was install one no parking in cul-de-sac sign on Farmington Court in the Grass Island area of the cul-de-sac, and install no parking signs in front of the following Farmington Court addresses: 33500, 33470, 33473, and 33493. Approval of contractor recommendation for demolition of 4 city-acquired properties under the Community Development Block Grant and City Redevelopment Program. Approval of agreement between the City of Westland and Municipal Service Bureau for the Westland Ice Arena management for a 1-year period commencing July 1, 2019, ending June 30, 2020, amount $142,000. Approval of agreement between the City of Westland and Municipal Service Bureau for Westland Golf Course Management for a 1-year period commencing July 1, 2019, ending June 30, 2020, amount $115,500. Approval of agreement between the City of Westland and Municipal Service Bureau for Crossing Guard Management for a 1-year period commencing July 1, 2019, ending June 30, 2020, amount $80,000. Approval of agreement between the City of Westland and Municipal Service Bureau for Park Ranger Services contract for a 1-year period commencing July 1, 2019, ending June 30, 2020, amount $66,000. Introduction of third quarter budget amendment for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2019. Waive procedure, declaring an emergency due to time constraints to allow the introduction and adoption of third quarter budget amendment for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2019 in the same meeting. Last item on the consent calendar, adoption of third quarter budget amendment for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2019. Moving on to new business, item 1, approval of minutes of study session held June 30, 2019.
Motion by Councilman Hart, supported by Councilman Hersberg. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Green.
Abstain due to being locked out of City Hall during the study session, and when I got let into City Hall, the 4-minute study session was over. So I don't know if that was a record, but I'm abstaining not due to absence, because I was here at 6 o'clock. I could not get into City Hall.
Councilman Hammonds is absent, excused. Councilman Hart. Yes. Councilman Hersberg. Yes. Councilman Johnson. Yes. Councilman Londo. Yes. President Godbout.
Yes.
Motion passes. New business, item 2, approval of minutes of study session held June 10, 2019.
Motion by Councilman Hart, supported by Councilman Hersberg. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Green.
Yes.
Councilman Hammonds is absent, excused. Councilman Hart. Yes. Councilman Hersberg. Yes. Councilman Johnson. Councilman Londo. Yes. President Godbout.
Yes.
Motion passes. New business, item 3, approval of site plan for proposed oil change and automotive washing establishment located at 5759 North Newburgh. Planning Commission recommends approval contingent upon departmental requirements and recommendations. This is Planning Department number 2226.
Motion by Councilman Hart, supported by Councilman Hersberg. Mo?
Council President, Mohammed Ayub from the Planning Department. The subject property here is located on the west side of Newburgh Road and north of Ford Road, kitty corner to the former City Hall PD site, and is zoned CB4 Vehicle Service District. The total subject parcels are about 42,000 square feet and are used currently for a recreational vehicle storage facility. There are 2 deteriorated buildings currently occupying the site. One is about 900 square feet and the other is about 400 square feet. The parcels are partially paved to accommodate the parking and maneuvering of the recreational vehicles, but not all parking areas are paved. So therefore, the site doesn't currently comply with paving requirements. Today, the petitioner is proposing to demolish both buildings, remove the 8-foot tall chain link fence that has barbed wire and eliminate the recreational vehicle storage use to construct a building that's 4,540 square feet to operate a car wash and oil change facility. Both uses are permitted by right in the CB4 district, but the proposed building and site improvements require site plan approval by the city council. The oil change portion of the building includes 3 service bays. Access to the site exists currently via 4 driveway approaches off of Newburgh. The proposed site plan eliminates one of these 4 driveways and rebuilds the remaining 3. Both uses will have their own dedicated drive aisles to enter the facility with sufficient stacking space for both. Both uses will be accessed by 2 driveways and a shared circulation aisle east of the building. 5 vacuums will be located on the north side of the building as part of the car wash operation over here. This location provides sufficient screening and distance between the vacuums and the homes located to the west. Building materials will include mostly brick veneer. The top 4 feet will be wrapped with commercial-grade aluminum siding. And to wrap up, the development complies with all zoning and bulk requirements provided in the CB4 district, as outlined in your staff report. The Planning Commission and Administration both recommend approval of this proposed site plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Is the petitioner present?
Yes. Good evening, everyone. My name is Nasir Baidoun. I'm the co-partners of this project, and we're looking forward, hopefully, to be a part of the community in the city of Westland and do the best that we can.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the council? Any discussion? Any discussion? Any dissent? Any dissent? Hearing no dissent, motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
New business item 4, approval of preliminary plan for proposed Imagine Theater expansion, 395355 Ford Road, south side of Ford, west of Superior Parkway. Planning Commission recommends approval contingent upon departmental requirements and recommendations. This is Planning Department number 2056L.
Motion by
Good luck.
everybody. Let's go with Councilman Hart and support by Councilman Landau.
The subject's, thank you, Council President. The subject site here is located south of Ford Road and east of Lots Road at the south end here of Superior Parkway. The overall site comprises of 3.58 acres outlined in yellow and is currently developed with a 268 space off-street parking lot for the adjacent Imagine Theater, which is located on an adjacent zoning lot in the township of, in Canton Township. The site was rezoned during the Brookfield Village Planned Unit Development to PUD. Today, the petitioner is proposing to construct an expansion of Imagine Theater on the subject property that will house the largest theater screen in the Midwest. The footprint of the building, outlined in blue approximately, is 14,000 square feet and will displace 57 of the existing parking spaces. But with the reconfiguration, we'll add 18 of those 57 that are lost. The new addition will incorporate an additional 387 seats, 24 of which will be for a separate screening room area. This brings the total number of proposed seats to 1,914. These seats require a total of 678 parking spaces, 14 of which require ADA access, and the proposed number of parking spaces is 898, including 28 of which will be ADA compliant. There are no modifications to any of the driveways or any of the access aisles. There is an easement agreement for access with the Gardner White building over here to have site access off of Ford Road. The height of the new structure proposed is 50 feet tall and will incorporate a split face masonry block to match the existing materials on the existing building. There is one internally illuminated sign proposed on the north elevation. You can see it here in this image. that is 345 square feet in area to generate visibility from Ford Road. This structure is set back about 450 feet from Ford Road. The site plan maintains required berming and landscaping, and that's in conformance with the minimum standards of the zoning ordinance. The administration and planning commission both recommend approval to you for this expansion.
Thanks. Petitioner, have anything you'd like to add at this point?
My name is Jim Glantz, and I'm the project manager for Imagine. I'd like to thank you all for attending and considering this proposed expansion. We're very excited to bring this new development to the city of Westland. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Councilman Landau, since you
Thanks.
supported the motion.
Thanks, President Godbout. Thanks for coming out tonight, and thanks for investing in our city, and thanks for coming to the study session and explaining in further detail this project. As you said earlier, Mo did a great job of describing it, and just want to say I'll be in support of it, and I appreciate the investment in our city.
Thank you, Councilman.
Councilwoman Green. Is there any further discussion from the council? Any further discussion? Any dissent? Any dissent? Hearing no dissent, motion carries unanimously. Thanks.
Thank you.
New business item 5, waive procedure declaring an emergency due to time constraints to allow the approval of preliminary and final plan for proposed Imagine Theater expansion located at 39535 Ford Road in the same meeting. The Planning Commission recommends approval contingent upon departmental requirements and recommendations.
Motion by Councilman Johnson, supported by Councilman Landau. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any dissent? Any dissent? Hearing no dissent, motion carries unanimously.
New business item 6, approval of final plan for proposed Imagine Theater expansion located at 39535 Ford Road. Planning Commission recommends approval contingent upon departmental requirements and recommendations.
Motion by Councilman Landau, supported by Councilman Herzberg. I was going to see if, Mo, did you have anything else you needed to add?
No, sorry.
Are there any questions from the council? Any discussion? Any discussion? Any dissent? Any dissent? Hearing no dissent, motion carries unanimously. Good luck, and I hope you make the timetable.
Thank you.
New business item 7, confirmation of reappointment of James Higgins to the William P. Faust Public Library Board for a 5-year term with the term to expire June 20, 2024.
Motion by Councilman Landau, supported by Councilman Herzberg. Mayor?
Thank you, City Council. Mr. Higgins is in the audience here tonight. We are proud of his work on the library board. He stepped in as a new library board was being seated, and he was chosen by his colleagues to serve as the president of the library board, and he's forged a great working relationship with the administration there, so we think that he'd be a great choice to continue his work on the library board, so I'd ask you to consider his reappointment tonight.
Is there any discussion from the council? Any discussion? Any dissent? Any dissent? Hearing no dissent, motion carries unanimously. Jane, if you'd like to stand to be recognized.
Thank you, Council President, council members, and Mayor. Also, I'd like to thank Ishwar for the leadership, and I'm just proud and happy to continue to serve the fine establishment of the library in the city of Westland. Thank you.
New business item 8, confirmation of reappointment of Sam Durante to the Westland Planning Commission for a 3-year term with the term to expire July 7, 2022.
Motion by Councilman Landau, supported by Councilman Herzberg. Mayor?
Thank you, Council. Tonight, West End resident Sam Durante is in the audience as well, and Sam has been a very productive member of the Westland Planning Commission for several years. He's also very active in the community in several volunteer roles, and we would ask you to please consider his reappointment for a new 3-year term to expire July 7, 2022. Thank you.
Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any dissent? Any dissent? Hearing no dissent, motion carries unanimously. Sam?
New business item 9, confirmation of reappointment of Mayor William R. Wild as delegate to the Central Wayne County Sanitation Authority for a one-year term effective July 1, 2019 through June 30, 2020.
Motion by Councilman Johnson. Is there support? Support. Support by Councilman Hersberg. Mayor?
Thank you, City Council. This appointment and the next one is standard practice that we do on an annual basis. The Sanitation Authority is made up of the city of Westland, Wayne, Garden City, Inkster, and Dearborn Heights. We have a meeting once a month, and typically in most communities, it's the chief elected official or the city manager and the finance director or the DPS director. So Westland is currently the chair of the CWCSA, and that alternates through the 5 communities. So either myself or Steve Smith attends the meetings on a monthly basis.
Is there any discussion from the council? Any discussion? Any dissent? Any dissent? Hearing no dissent, motion carries unanimously.
Are we going to clap? New business item 10, confirmation of reappointment of Steve Smith as alternate delegate to the Central Wayne County Sanitation Authority for a one-year term effective July 1, 2019 through June 30, 2020.
Motion by Councilman Hersberg. Is there support? Support by Councilman Hart. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any dissent? Any dissent? Hearing no dissent, motion carries unanimously. Congratulations, Steve.
New business item 11, approval of vouchers.
Is there a motion? Motion by Councilman Landau. Is there support? Support by Councilman Hart. Councilman Johnson.
Thank you. As everybody's aware, we've had a voucher item that had been put on the table for a few months now and quite honestly has been beat to death. I would move at this time that we remove that from the table and consider it separately from the current voucher list.
There's a motion to remove from the table. I think that motion should be after the voucher motion, after we decide on the vouchers, to remove from the table at that point in time, if I'm correct, and I'll defer to the clerk on that.
To remove from the table cannot be made while another motion has been made and supported.
I had my line on prior to the other motion, but that's okay. I'd like to be recognized before you go to the next item.
Right. Councilwoman Green.
Yes, there is a training reimbursement on here for Councilman Londo. Under personnel on page 4, I'd like to know what that is for.
Mr. Smith?
Through the chair to Councilwoman Green. Obviously, I know you sent me some questions on last week's vouchers on Friday, and I know I answered those today. But if you could send them to me ahead of time, I could have the answers for you. There are, obviously, council knows there's a number of, any given night, there's 10 to 20 pages of vouchers and over 500 invoices, so it's hard to know exactly which ones to prepare for. So if you could put them in writing like you did on the last council meeting, that would be appreciated. And I gave you those answers.
I'll have Councilman Londo answer.
Thanks, President Gabo. If you recall, a few meetings ago, I was reimbursed for the Michigan Municipal League conference that was held at the Great Wolf Lodge in Traverse City, Michigan. This is the hotel bill, which I have a copy of for every council member, if they'd like.
there any other discussion on the vouchers? Any other, Councilwoman Green?
Due to the fact that this is a conference training, just like mine was, there's no policy in place. I have not violated any policy nor any ethics, and I have not been paid. I have been accused falsely, and I have watched you all pay each other, and here's yet another conference reimbursement for whatever this expense includes for a conference just like mine, and I do not believe that is fair. I actually believe it is discriminatory, as I've stated before, and I make a motion that all conference training expenses for council members be tabled until such time that a written policy has been put in place that every member of city council has to follow, and that no one is paid until this policy is put in place, because this is wrong, as it has been for the last several months.
There's a motion on the floor to table. Is there support? Is there support? Motion dies due to lack of support. We'll move on to, are there any other questions on the vouchers? Yes. Councilwoman Green.
Through the chair to Steve Smith, I just wanted to clarify, the PD training, is that short for police department training? Does that, because it's coming out of general fund, does that mean police department?
Through the chair, yes, PD is police department, yes.
Okay, thank you. I have no questions on those expenses. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion from the council? Any other discussion? Any dissent? Any dissent? Councilwoman Green.
Dissent.
Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Green.
No.
Councilman Hammonds is absent, excused. Councilman Hart. Yes. Councilman Hersberg. Yes. Councilman Johnson. Councilman Londo.
Yes.
President Godbout.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Councilman Johnson.
Again, and I'm sorry about pulling the trigger on that earlier, I would like to move that we remove the item currently tabled concerning travel expenses and resolve that issue one way or another tonight. Thank you.
Is there support for the motion to remove from the table? Support by Councilman Hart. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Green. Councilman Hammonds is absent, excused. Councilman Hart. Yes. Councilman Hersberg. Yes. Councilman Johnson. Councilman Londo.
Yes.
President Godbout.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Councilman Hart.
Make motion to deny the report that's just been pulled from the table for the Washington, D.C. personal political trip.
Motion to deny by Councilman Hart, supported by Councilman Johnson. Is there any discussion? Yes. Councilman Johnson.
Thank you again. I cannot support this because I believe, and history will tell us, that Congressional Black Caucus is an arm of the Democratic Party in Washington, D.C., and I do not believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Attorney, we can't spend tax dollars on political functions, so I cannot support that. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion from the council? Councilwoman Green?
Yes, Councilman Johnson just asked a question of the city attorney. I'd like to get his answer because I provided information. It is not an arm of the Democratic Party. It is a conference that has taken place for the last 48 years, and I have provided the information in terms of what that conference provides, the same way you all go to conferences all over the U.S. and you never question your expenses. So I would like the city attorney to answer that question, and then I'd like to comment further, please.
If I could. The question was, can we spend tax dollars on political conferences? That was my question.
Mr. Fasson.
Through the chair, I've previously answered this question for council, and the city cannot spend taxpayer dollars on political activity.
Councilwoman Green.
This was not a political meeting. As I've stated and I've given documentation that this conference is professional development and training for elected officials. It's no different from any conference that any of you all have been to, except it's in Washington, D.C. You all go everywhere. The mayor and the council president just came from Vegas. The mayor just was at whatever that conference was that cost $2,300 to go to because other elected officials were there. You all, the Congressional Black Caucus, the description states that it brings together elected officials of all backgrounds and experiences for professional development, education, to brainstorm issues that affect all levels of government, national town halls, and a variety of receptions and networking. This conference has taken place in Washington, D.C. annually for 48 years. How is that a political, I'm a member of several political organizations. This was not a political conference. There was nobody pushing for the Democratic move. There was no Democratic movement at that conference even addressed or even discussed. So I would like you to clarify where you're getting your information from because it's actually false. And do you have anything in writing to substantiate that that was a conference to move forward the agenda of the Democratic Party?
Council, wait, just.
I need to respond to that because.
Yes, you do.
Councilman, please. I'm just trying to do it in the order of people that have their mics on, okay? Councilman Hart made the motion, so he's. Councilman Hart.
Thank you, Council President. As we've heard before, from Councilman Johnson, and I've kind of spoken ad nauseum on this before up here, spending taxpayer dollars for political events is inappropriate. It's not even acceptable, and it's not legal. Furthermore, some of the trainings that we've mentioned, my colleague, Mike Landau, Councilwoman Green, one of them, Councilman Herzberg, we've all been to MML conferences, we've been to SEMCOG, and these are the conference that you just heard Mike Landau expense, is a Michigan Municipal League conference. It's in-state, and its member organizations are municipalities. Cities are members of these organizations, and we're encouraged to go. The slippery slope is when someone decides that they're going to go to any caucus meeting of their choosing, travel to Washington, D.C., attend the conference, and then 6 months later hand the bill on the feet of the taxpayer. It's a surprise to everyone. It's unacceptable. We're talking about one caucus here, but I've said this before, there's hundreds of caucuses. Okay, so if we say one to one, now we say one to others. And there's a number of caucuses out there that are very, very tilted one way or the other. Okay, there's caucuses that are on the Republican side, caucuses that are on the Democratic side, caucuses that pro-life, caucuses that are pro-choice. Take your pick. There's millions of caucuses. It's a slippery slope. It is inappropriate, it's unethical for a council member to sit here and decide that I'm going to go to this trip in DC and I'm going to go to this caucus event, and whether it's my belief it is political, just like I agree with Councilman Johnson, that's my opinion, and I think most people agree with that, and that's why I won't support it.
Councilman Johnson.
I too, that is my opinion. That is a political group of the Democratic Party. I don't think anybody can dispute that. And they sponsored the event. In my mind, that makes it political. And just for the record, I've been looped into a group of folks that have claimed expenses for attending meetings. I have never turned a request in to be reimbursed by the city for any meetings I've attended, not one. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion from the council? Councilwoman Green.
I wanted to state for the record and just clarify those of you who are not familiar with this conference expense. As I've stated, this expense was for me to attend the Congressional Black Caucus at a time when I asked to be on specific commissions and I was denied that right. These gentlemen, including the clerk and every other elected official in this city, They have approved conference expenses. You just saw them deny me the request of not paying any city council members until we establish a policy. This has happened the last multiple meetings. They don't even want a policy in place, but they want to deny mine. When I initially requested this expense, I only requested my hotel, the cost of my hotel. When they go somewhere, they request for hotel, air travel, food, taxi, every expense that they incur while they are on that so-called, the exact same thing as mine, legislative conference. They expense it all to taxpayers. This has never been deemed unethical in the past. But when I request a reimbursement, I was told by these gentlemen that I should have asked them for permission. I was told that, and that came directly from Michael Londo. I was questioned in terms of the legality by Councilman Johnson, stated that it was unethical by Councilman Hart, but they approved everybody else's conference for 100% of the expenses. And then to tell me that your opinion, that's the problem with you all. You tell me your opinion is that this is a Democratic Party conference when it is not. It is a conference that is hosted by the Congressional Black Caucus in Washington, D.C. for the items and the explanation that the description that I just read. Your opinion is not fact. And that is the problem with you all. You continue to try to impose processes upon me based on opinion. And then when I tell you what the fact is, whether it's Robert's Rules of Order or whatever the issue is, you won't even accept that. You don't have anything in writing to back up your statement that this is a Democratic Party conference. It was not a party for the Democratic Party, and there was no discussion in terms of a Democratic Party agenda. So I resent that action. I resent the denial of my expense. I'm very disappointed that I have been falsely accused, but I do believe this is as a result of me speaking up on different matters, as I do, and everyone who knows me knows that that is the case. I have documented retaliation by some of these men in the past for certain things that I have said or disclosed. So this matter is no different. I would never try to take anything from taxpayers, and the fact that they don't even question a conference expense for each other, and we're paying for your everything that you expense. There's been nothing even documenting that the conferences that you all attend, especially Council President Gabao, who's been there for almost 19 years, there's been no proof that you traveling halfway across the country has even brought any results or return to Westland from any of these conferences that you all take on an annual basis. You have done this. And there's been nothing to prove that it was anything more than a vacation, classified as a conference. It is totally improper for you all to do this based on opinion when you can go on the internet and read what this is. You refuse to do it. And for the record, Attorney Falzone, I want to state for you, what you just stated tonight was false. You actually lied on the record. And I will provide you with the meeting that this occurred, because your email to me and to council when this matter initially took place, you stated that I was not in violation of any policy. And I have the email. You stated that there was no violation of the policy. You encouraged council to be mindful of their vote so that it did not appear to be based on a discriminatory reason. And you never said that this conference you never classified it as a Democratic conference. So for you to sit here and lie to my face and come up with a different explanation when you never said that, I am completely disappointed, but I don't expect anything less from you gentlemen. And just for the record, I'm going to continue to speak out, and I'm going to go to the Congressional Black Caucus again this year. So just so you know, in September, and you can deny that as well. And I will be requesting in the same manner that you all do. And you know, we'll just handle this accordingly, but you have the right to vote how you like. Your opinion is wrong. You did not tell the truth, Attorney Falzone, but I don't expect anything more from you either, so thank you.
Mr. Faso?
Through the chair, Councilwoman Green, you owe me an apology. First, I did not say tonight that the conference was political. That's not my position. Second, I did not say tonight that you violated a policy, because there is no policy on this. So for you to say that tonight I have lied on those two issues, I am entitled to an apology for that. What I said tonight is that taxpayer dollars cannot be used for political events. I've maintained that position throughout this discussion. It is for council to decide, not the city attorney, to decide whether or not this event constituted a political event or it was professional development as you've characterized it. So I'm personally offended for you to sit there and say that I have lied to you tonight.
Councilman Landau?
Thanks. Obviously, there's some emotion up here. There's been a lot said and some things that aren't true. You all travel across the country. I've never traveled across the country. I went to Frankenmuth and I went to Traverse City, both Michigan Municipal League conferences. One that I attended with, Councilwoman, well not with, but we all attended together, I guess you'd say. Councilman Green, Councilman Hersberg, Councilman Hart, we're all at the same one. All of those were approved previously. We don't have a current policy in place, but I did fill out an authorization for training. Again, I have a copy for everyone. Anyone in the audience wants to take a look, you're more than welcome. I was approved for the $195 tuition fee and $180 for the hotel. So, like I said, I have all that on here. And then as for the comment that says you had to ask for permission, I never said you had to ask. I asked, had you asked, similar to what I just did, a pre-authorization from the personnel department. That's all I said, so.
Councilman Johnson?
Thank you. I'm done after this one. Don't know the gist of the meeting, and I have not seen any documentation presented. I don't think anybody will dispute that the Congressional Black Caucus is an arm of the Democratic Party. This event was sponsored by the Democratic Party. That's why I'm of the opinion we can't spend dollars. And I've just been told recently that that voucher was paid. And now we've been beating this thing to death for months and months and months, and I've just been told that the money was received and the check was cashed for that expense request. I don't know what in the heck's going on around here, but there is some deceit going on, because I just heard tonight, I have not received my money yet. You denied me my money. And now I'm told, yes, in fact, that money was paid by the city. I'm done with it. Thank you.
Councilwoman Green?
Yes, I was advised immediately that I had to refund the $900. I had to repay the city $900 when that check was cut. Steve Smith got the documentation that the trip was authored, that there was no nothing unethical, and he cut the check. And then he told me I had to repay the city. So this is what the discussion is about. The bottom line is, if it's not approved, then I owe the city $900, and which is not fair. So in terms of the check being cut, you need to talk to Steve about that. I didn't have a conversation with Steve at all. Steve cut that check. So and from what I understand, that happens regularly when expenses are put on the vouchers. They've been paid, and then we find out about it. So don't act surprised, because I've questioned invoices here at council meeting, even that $1.5 million cell tower expense that they said it was already in use, and I asked about that. So let's not play games here. The bottom line is, I have been told that I have to repay the city of Westland that expense. So there is no impropriety in terms of that payment. You know exactly what it means.
I know exactly what I've been told for 2 months by you, that you have not been paid. I find out today you did actually get it. And I think you mentioned again tonight, you have not got your money. It's ridiculous. We either need to vote it up or down and be done with it.
Councilwoman Green?
The bottom line is, when that check was cut, I was told that I owed the city an expense for that cost. Now, in terms of the timing of that check being cut, you need to talk to Steve, because that check was cut before when I put the request in and provided all of my receipts, Steve stated to me that he talked to the mayor, and the mayor wanted additional documentation, which I provided, and then the check was cut. So don't talk to me like there's something unethical. You know, I don't have anything to do in terms of accounting. I'm one council member with one vote. Now I have a $1,000 bill to attend a conference that you all attend regularly, which I believe is unfair, and I am going to handle it accordingly, because as it has been repeatedly stated, there's no policy to state that I should not have went.
Councilman Johnson?
I have heard for almost 3 months now, I have not got my money. I find out just a little while ago that money has already been paid. And I guess that's my problem with it now. I've heard for 3 months, I don't have my money, you guys denied me my money. The money has already been paid, and I just found that out. And I'm really surprised to hear that I've been told for months that I don't have my money. I'm done.
That's,
There is a motion or there's a call for the question, which ends discussion and calls for a vote. So my comments on it will wait till the end of the meeting at this point in time. Could the clerk please read the motion?
What I wrote was motion by Hart, supported by Johnson, to deny payment to Councilwoman Green's reimbursement.
Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Green.
No.
Councilman Hammonds is absent, excused. Councilman Hart.
Yes.
Councilman Hersberg.
Yes.
Councilman Johnson.
Yes.
Councilman Londo.
Yes.
President Godbout.
Yes.
Motion passes.
We'll move on to citizens' comments or requests. As soon as I get back to that section. Citizens will be recognized at the end of the meeting immediately following the agenda item. Approval of vouchers. Citizens are asked to limit their comments to 3 minutes. All citizens wishing to speak will be heard. Is there anyone on my left? Anyone on my right? Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Mayor and Council, citizens of Westland, Gina Stewart. Do you need my address?
No.
Gina Stewart. Okay, I just had a question. I haven't been to a meeting in, I guess, about a month and a half, and the last time I was here, that same issue about the reimbursement for the trip was on there. And then today I hear there's no policy set yet. Is there a plan to put a policy in order? And if it is, when will that be done? Because I think that might solve some of the issues.
I believe the committee there is a committee that was formed, and I believe the committee's met, and we're waiting for their policy to come forward so that we can have a study session on it as council as a whole.
Okay.
Is there anyone on my left? Anyone on my right? Yes.
Good evening, Council. Chester Cassidy of Westland. In my 35 years of chairing and recording meetings in the private sector, I've had to follow this book, Robert's Rules of Order. In the last several meetings, I'm very disappointed that this book hasn't been followed. And not following the Robert's Rules of Order has put this council in an absolute mess. Too many arguments, too many speeches when there's not supposed to be speeches. You're supposed to make a motion, you outline that motion, you get your second, you conduct your business. That has not been happening in this council in the last several meetings. As one who has had to follow this book, it's disgusting the way this has been going on. Tonight, for the first time in 4 meetings, Councilman Landau did it right. He called for the question. I've never seen anybody else, come to a point of order to cut off frivolous debate. Come on, guys. We got to get our act together, because I'm not going to go back to 30 years ago when the city of Westland was called Wasteland throughout Wayne County. I'm not going to go back to that again. And those who have been here as long as I have in this city, almost 60 years, knows what I'm talking about. So let's get our act together. And as a citizen, I'll tell you, I'm upset, and there's plenty of us that's upset. And this is one informed, very informed senior citizen that knows what he's talking about. Thank you.
Anyone on my left? Anyone on my right? Yes, ma'am.
Praise the Lord. I greet you in the name of Jesus Christ. I have a scripture I want to share. John 10:10. The thief come but to kill, steal, and destroy. I just want to let everybody know that the thief do come and steal, kill, and destroy. It will destroy each other if you're not paying attention. Now, the last time I heard the mayor say, he stepped out, that he was going to put a policy in order. So I'm looking for that policy to be in order. Another thing, I looked at myself on TV. It turned me down so nobody could hear me. But that's okay. You could turn me to a black dot so when nobody see me. But I'm going to say it anyway. I'm saying that when the mayor said it's going to be a travel voucher place, then it should be place. Now, I want to say to Councilwoman Green that every time that we come to the meeting, it should be videotaped, because you should have a video. Because what we're doing today is history. This is history. I want to say also, I know the mayor's not here. He'll see this. I know John Connors myself. I worked with John Connors. I followed him. I sat by him. He's not a racist. He worked with all colors. He rolled his sleeves up and got the job done. If you cannot get the job done here in Westland, you cannot go to Washington. So don't even try to fill John Connors' seat, because he worked. I followed him. I sat with him. I know him personally. That man worked, and there was no color that he denied. No white, no black, all was important. So all I want to say is that people treated equally, because the thief comes to steal your joy, your happiness, and everything. So I'm saying now, if you got to have a major discussion, that you could have it in another room, because this is history. And if y'all making the mayor look bad now, just think if he go to Washington. They're going to dig and dig and dig. What kind of city is he running? And not only that, you know, word has leaked out everywhere about Westland. So I'm just want to tell you that I know my minutes is up. I just want to say this. Freedom is what our ancestors fought for, and we must fight to keep it. Let freedom ring. Thank you. God bless you.
Anyone on my left? Yes.
Good evening, members of council. My name is Andrea Rutkowski. I'm here on behalf of the Westland area JCs. We are proud once again to be holding a KCBS barbecue competition August 2nd and 3rd, and we have relocated that to the grounds of Post 9885, which is more commonly known as BOVA. So I'm inviting, or we're all inviting, members of the community who would like to assist us in cleaning up their back 40 grounds. We've been doing a lot of landscaping and housekeeping. President Godbout was there this last time, and I know we all really appreciated you coming out and, dragging some limbs and burning some, stuff with us. So that was great. But we had a little brush. We had to get rid of some stuff. And we had a backhoe and everything. It was great. So at any rate, I encourage members of the community who would like to do some beautification work and support our veterans. The KCBS barbecue competition is an international competition, and we just happen to be the city that hosts the largest one in the state. So we're very proud of that. It's a wonderful all-American type thing, and we are doubly excited that we get to support our veterans this year as well. So thank you.
Anyone on my right? Anyone on my left? We'll close citizens' comment, and doesn't appear to be anybody from the administration here. So I'll move on to comments from the city attorney's office.
Thank you, Council President. Just to try to clear up a statement made by a resident, she's stepped out, but she seemed to imply that it was the mayor's responsibility to put a travel policy in place for council. It is not the mayor's responsibility. In fact, it's not his jurisdiction or administration's jurisdiction, as has been stated before, and you've commented on, Council President. It is council's policy, and you have a subcommittee working on that. So I just wanted to clear up, it's not an administration or mayor's issue, it's a council issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Begin council comments with Councilwoman Green.
Yes, I would like to state that, as everyone knows, I'm not in agreement with what occurred. Someone's opinion is not fact. I will also state in terms of, just to follow up on what the city attorney just stated in terms of it not being Mayor Wild's responsibility. When council voted to not approve my expense, the mayor knew it was a problem, because what he did on, I believe, May the 10th, is he changed the city of Westland's policy to redocument it to state that the city council last month, he put it in writing, the city council has to come up with their own policy because there was nothing in writing. So even he knew that the way that occurred was not correct. So that was a move to take the responsibility off of the city if this should go to litigation. So in terms of there being stated that there's a new committee, I repeatedly asked the council president to sit on that committee since this issue only has affected me. I'm the only one who has been discriminated against and not paid from an elected official, from what I was told, ever. And even though I repeatedly asked, I asked in writing, the council president did not select me for that committee, and he didn't have to, but it would have been nice to be able to have a voice in terms of the policy that we come up with. So, again, I believe this is as a result of me speaking out on matters that are not favored, and I'm going to continue to do so. And in terms of the check, just to clarify or to speak to what Councilman Johnson stated, Steve Smith cut the check before the item ever got to the voucher, after getting what I was told was approval from the mayor. And then as soon as it went to the voucher, because it had never been, no elected official had ever had a conference reimbursement denied, I was given a bill that I have to now repay. So essentially, it is exactly the same thing. And you all are now coming up with the statement that this is relative to the Democratic Party, but, you know, again, I beg to differ, and this is something that you're stating tonight. And again, it is not fact, and I understand everybody's position, but in terms of discussion, but what you have to understand as the community is the decisions that are made relative to these invoices, they're made at these council meetings. So that's why we're discussing them, because there is no opportunity to vote on it until we get to city council. So I do understand what you were stating, sir, and I respect that. And I have raised issues with violation of Robert's Rules of Order as well, but I'm only one voice. So again, I will state for the record that I'm not in agreement, and I'm going to continue to speak out. And I do believe when it's all said and done, I absolutely will get my money refunded to me. It's just going to come from legal action. Thank you.
Councilman Hart.
Thank you, Council President. A lot of things went on today, obviously. Again, another tumultuous event. Hopefully, we can start to put this thing behind us. Again, it's this whole political trip. You know, it's very unprecedented. It's no different than if I just go to Scotland in 2 weeks and attend a leadership symposium and then I hand the bill to you. Sounds kind of funny. So that's why I won't allow anybody else to do it either. I don't care what council member does it. I'm not going to allow it. With regards to the policy, you're absolutely right. There never was a policy. But because there's not a policy, just because you could do absence of policy doesn't mean you should. I think we all learned that in elementary school. There's a big difference between could and should. And ethics always lives in the gray area between what it says I can do and it says that I can't, or the absence thereof. I think we would all agree with that sentiment. So there's my metaphor, there's my simile. I think we would all agree with that. I'm glad that we can move forward now and put this circus behind us. With regards to the Roberts Rule, sir, I agree with you 110%. It's been frustrating seeing some of the things that are going on, and I agree with you. And thank you for bringing it up. I appreciate it. The policy, again, we'll get back to the policy real quick. Yes, we are working on a policy. There is a new committee that is working on the policies and procedures. This is always done. Our policies and procedures also dictate that there will be no standing committees. So last time we had a policy and procedures meeting, we had 3 of our council members up here. Since we're going back into the policies and procedures, the council president, rightfully so, asked the other 3 sitting council members to work on that. That way there's balance. That way the other 3 people get a shot in their opinions. And still, when that policy, that committee puts something forward, it still goes to a study session in front of the rest of the council, and they all get to speak to it at large. So everybody else will have their input on this. Just the committee works in a small group to kind of frame something up so that we can bring something credible toward and kind of not spend all day talking about it. A few other things. Yeah, happy Army birthday. For those who don't know, June 14th, Flag Day, also happy Army birthday. So happy Army birthday to all my Army vets out there. We don't celebrate as hard as the Marines do, so I'll be sure to hang out with the Marines on their birthday as well. We celebrate, we dial it down a notch or two. And with regards to the fireworks, I know the police chief did speak about fireworks, and again, I'm gonna kind of come back to what I said before, could versus should. Just remember, you guys, just because you can set off fireworks, I want you to really, really strongly consider what kind you buy. Okay, there's fun ones, there's sparklers, there's bottle rockets, I get it. But remember, there's a lot of vets in your neighborhoods and at home, and a lot of guys. And when you guys are out buying those fireworks and you see that mortar tube, think twice, because those things really cause some havoc with some vets. I have a personal friend of mine, during fireworks season, he has to leave town, okay, because it's just too much for him. After being in Afghanistan and being shelled all day long for months on end, it kind of sticks with him. So just think about that, consider that. And with that, I'll close. Thank you.
Councilman Hart. I'm sorry, Councilman Johnson.
I know I look a lot like Jim, but I'm a little taller. I would have to agree with the gentleman over there. There's things that have been happening, said, and done on this council that has never happened before. It's become dysfunctional, to be totally honest. I would have never believed 2 or 3 years ago that we would be here almost in fistfights and arguments over things that should have been resolved, in my mind, prior to anybody taking a trip. I believe all travel should be approved ahead of time. I am on that committee with Councilman Hart and Hammonds. I'm going to push to see that that becomes part of our policies and procedures. If you've held meetings, I'm sure you've been involved in trips. You don't approve them after you get back. You approve them before you go. And I'm just going to say again, I don't know the content of this meeting. I know it was sponsored by a arm of the Democratic Party, and I will not be part and party to using taxpayer dollars to attend those functions. And that's all I got to say. I've said enough already. Thanks.
Councilman Londo.
I'll take the rest of Councilman Johnson's time. I just want to start off by also thanking Mr. Cassidy for coming forward, saying what many residents are saying in our city. I'm out and about daily, speaking with residents at functions, door to door, and they're tired of it. They're tired of it. They want this to be conducted as a business meeting and not as a circus. So I appreciate you bringing that up. Also want to say congratulations to Mr. Higgins, Mr. Durante, Mayor Wild, and Steve Smith on your reappointments. You guys all have done a tremendous job, and especially Mr. Durante, and I see 2 other planning commissioners here. Thank you for all you guys do. I watched the recent planning commission with the Imagine Theater project. I know there was a lot of discussion, so I appreciate the vetting that you guys put forward to make our jobs a little bit easier. So thank you for that. Relay for Life was this past weekend. I want to thank everyone that participated. They had a goal of $60,000 and they raised $69,213.47. So it's incredible. They were able to reach the goal. You can still donate, so we can go past the goal up until August. And the website you can go to is relayforlife.org/WestlandWayneMI. And wanted to say this earlier, I want to thank the administration from both Westland and Canton Township for their diligent work on the Imagine Theater project. The fast track team really did a great job here. They were hitting on all cylinders, so I want to express my gratitude to every one of you for bringing it forward. I think it's going to be a great partnership with the City of Canton, and our residents are going to get to have an amazing viewing experience at Imagine, the largest screen in the Midwest, in Westland. Had a great time Saturday at the Rosie's Pearl of Wisdom Tea Party at the Jefferson Barnes Community Vitality Center. They asked me to come out and MC their raffle basket, and I actually got some free food out of it. It was a wonderful event with some incredible women in attendance, led by 2 of the original Rosie the Riveters. One was 95 years old, and one was 100 years old. They both are looking great, doing a great job. And the 95-year-old actually, I don't have her name in front of me, but she actually leads our Meals on Wheels program at Jefferson Barnes still to this day. So she's got tons of energy and works daily. Try to speed through this letter. The Westland Goodfellows are needing some help for their No Child Without a Christmas. I know it seems early to be talking about Christmas, but they have their Santa hat on all year round. They are hosting a Christmas in July themed fundraiser at Westland Bowl on July 27th, 2019. They're looking for sponsors, bowlers, for a fun night of bowling, raffles, and holiday giving. The event begins at 6 p.m. with unlimited bowling for each attendee. There will be a 50-50 raffle, bucket-style raffle with donated prizes. You can bring a new unwrapped toy for a chance to win a TV, and raffle to win a shotgun or rifle. I could read this whole letter, but I won't. If you want more information, you can go to www.westlandgoodfellows.org, or you can call them directly at 734-788-2270. I'm hearing that they do need a lot of help. Westland's always given back to the community for this organization. I know the UAW has always been huge for us, for them, and I'm hearing that they're not getting a lot of support this year. So please, City of Westland, compassionate city, let's step up and make sure that no child goes out of Christmas. And then on a sad note, I don't want to end on a sad note, but at last week's Westland Rotary Club sponsored scholarship luncheon, their oldest and longest serving member, Don Douglas, unfortunately passed away during the lunch. It was a very scary moment for us. And I just want to take this opportunity to thank our former fire chief, Mark Neal, who stepped right into action to administer CPR while we called 911. Our city clerk was there as well. He also assisted with the chest compressions, so thank you to you as well. Our firefighters got there very quickly, but unfortunately, and they did their best, but unfortunately he passed away. He was 93 years old, I believe. But Don really loved the scholarship luncheon. He even had a scholarship named after his wife. He'll be greatly missed, so if the community could just please say a prayer for Mr. Douglas's family, we'd greatly appreciate it. Thanks.
Councilman Hersberg.
Thank you. Yeah, just briefly, I'd like to congratulate Mr. Higgins and Sam Durante on your appointments. I've had a chance to meet Mr. Higgins quite a few times, and he came on the library board after it was pretty much refilled and everybody had left before, and he's done a great job. I've been hearing from everybody at the library, anybody who goes to the meetings, that he's the right person for the job, so congratulations. And thanks for your long tenure on the Planning Commission. And then, just real quick, I'd like to remind everybody that the Wayne Road Cruise is this Saturday. So that didn't get too much talk. It's the 7th or 8th annual cruise, and it doesn't really compete too well with the Woodward Dream Cruise right now, but hopefully in a few years, it really takes a community effort to get involved and make it a big event. So that's it, thanks.
I'd like to take this opportunity to thank James Higgins for continuing to serve on the library board, and Sam, thank you for continuing to work on the Planning Commission. There was a lot of discussion tonight. I didn't get to make my comments during the discussion on the voucher item, but what was brought up again was the councilwoman stated once again that she was denied the right to serve on a committee, which was one of the reasons that she went. I previously read directly from the email where she was offered opportunities to serve on committees and refused to do so. So again, that is not an accurate statement. My comments in regards to the caucus pertains to the caucus itself. By definition, a caucus is a group or meeting organized to further a special interest or cause. By definition, that takes it out of the realm of being a benefit for all of the residents of the community. Several times during her comments at previous meetings, when we were debating the subject, probably at least 2, if not 3 meetings that it's come up, numerous times during those comments, the councilwoman stated that it was political training. So based off of the fact that we got the explanation from the city attorney as to allowable expenses versus that taxpayer dollars can be used, and based off of the councilwoman's own comments on the type of training, which is why I voted to deny paying that voucher. Is there a motion to adjourn?